jumping right into possibly the watch that everyone was talking about, whether they're into the brand or not. Best concept watch. This goes to the Panerai Luminor 1950 ID Lab, the PAM 700. Raph, you saw this one. What did you think of it?
I thought it was very cool, but first of all, I wouldn't have expected Panerai to be the highlight of an SIHH with, and I say just with the way they've been performing in the past year, for example.
Yeah, they've been getting back to the steel watches.
Exactly.
They've been getting back to the simple watches. It was a year when Panerai as a brand really recovered, but they didn't recover with watches like this. This is the purest expression of a concept watch. Basically something that's like a concept car. And just like in, for instance, 1992, the Viper made enough of an impact a few years prior at the Detroit Auto Show that a limited series of them was rolled out. That's what the ID Lab is. 50 pieces, $50,000, and a 50-year service interval.
What?
Yes.
What? That's, I think, the most important 50 in that trio there. How did they make a movement with a 50-year service interval? I have yet to understand.
It's a bunch of carbon nitride coatings, basically. They have a total of 4 jewels. They're all in the balance pivot, and those are themselves coated with nitrides. The idea is basically that it's self-lubricating and that you just have hard, shiny surfaces on hard, shiny surfaces. So think about this.
Very cool and very futuristic, I gotta say.
I'll be 82 or dead by the time the first of these needs a service. So I don't know who's going to stick around to keep them honest, but it's bold. I will say this, though. If you think about the original Tissot caliber 2250 and 2270 Astrolon plastic movements, those are only about 4 or 5 years away from hitting their own 50-year milestone, and those were also non-serviceable.
I believe released in the 1970s, around there, correct?
Early 70s, developed by the Aegon Watch Company, marketed by Tissot as the Astrolon. That's the only thing I can really think of that even compares with this. A completely unlubricated, service-free movement, but in high horology.
So very cool. Not particularly something that hasn't been done before, or they're doing it in a way that certainly hasn't been done before. It's a concept that we've seen in the past, but still super cool. And I love that the highlights aren't just inside of the watch, but the technology that they put into the dial with the carbon nanotubes, absorbing just
the light, exactly. Like you say, the carbon nanotube dial. This was something a couple of companies were looking into this year. MCT was using what they called Vanta Black. It's a carbon nanotube light absorbing material. Basically, the desire is to create a black dial, as black as night, absorb as much light as possible from the visible spectrum, which is why the Panerai script is actually printed, not printed so much, but etched and then filled underneath the crystal on the dial side. There's nothing actually printed on the dial of this watch. And it's called the caliber 3001. It's essentially just an evolution of the 3001 caliber, but with carbon and ceramic components with nitride coatings.
Very cool, very cool. And I'm glad to say that the cool stuff from this SIHH does not stop at Panerai.
No, no. So if you're lucky enough to get one of these, make sure you've got the wrist for it. It's not a conventional 1950 case at 47 millimeters. This one is 49. Which begs the question, why didn't they make it 50?
You're already there.
I'm just saying, could have been the Quad 50. So, Raph, this one's...
50, yes.
Quad 50, that's an anti-aircraft gun, I think.
Hey, maybe it'll catch on.
It actually sounds good, Panerai. You're the military company, go for it.
Yeah.
So, case design. Best case design for me was the Urwerk UR8 or URT8 Transformer, because unofficially this watch is the Transformer.
Yes.
It's like a reverso designed by Cylons.
It's a very cool concept.
You got the reference.
I would have never imagined that you could almost mold together a reverso and a Urwerk?
Yeah, it's basically, it picks up where, you know, the UR105 turbine left off, but with a bigger, bolder case, and you've got the ability to rotate it so that all you see is this DLC blackened case flank that looks, I don't know, like the carapace of an extinct dinosaur or a monitor lizard. I don't know what it looks like. It looks like something foreboding and ominous and industrial, and it has a completely different look and feel than anything else at the show. And it's transformed just by turning it over. And I'll also say that the feel of that case, it was like operating a rifle bolt.
Really?
Like, it was so sturdy and robust, I feel like I hate to say it, but JLC needs to buy one of these and take notes.
I wouldn't expect anything less out of Urwerk, to tell you the truth. But it's surprising to hear that it's so robust.
Yeah.
I feel like these high horology pieces tend to be a little more delicate.
They do. In general, I think Urwerk has a phenomenal pedigree of machining, and that comes, I think, from not just Martin Fry's designs, but from Felix and his brother Thomas, who's now departed the company, but they laid down a baseline of standards for machining, and Thomas was a machinist, and I feel like that pedigree stayed with the company even after Thomas decided to pursue other avenues and other fortunes elsewhere.